whatever is those dysfunctional things are just going to come up again.
What if one of the founding members of KISS spent his final years at war with the very band he helped create?
Are you going to be part of the reunion tour? I said, you know what, I'm going to be part of it.
What if the tributes that poured in after his death came from people he had spent decades publicly criticizing? And what if, before he died, Ace Frehley rejected one last chance to reunite with KISS on stage forever? Behind the makeup, the fame, and the sold-out arenas was a feud that never truly ended.
When Doc McGee gets a call from the promoters and says, we'll pay you double if Ace is on the bill.
This is the story of Ace Frehley's final battle, and why some fans believe the real ending of KISS was far more complicated than anyone realized.
It's about money. I'm not going to lie. And Gene will be the first one to admit it.
On October 16th, 2025, shocking news spread across the music world. Ace Frehley had passed away at the age of 74. His family released an emotional statement sharing that he was surrounded by love as he died in a hospital in Morristown, New Jersey. For a musician who lived such a larger-than-life existence, the circumstances felt unexpectedly tragic and ordinary at the same time. Just weeks earlier, on September 25th, he had suffered a fall while working in the studio. At first, reports described it as minor, the kind of setback that seemed temporary for someone still focused on making new music. He was actively working on Origins Volume 4 and looking ahead to future projects. But the situation took a devastating turn when the fall reportedly led to a brain bleed, and his condition never recovered. By October 16th, reports confirmed he was on life support, forcing his family to face an incredibly painful decision. The news stunned fans everywhere. Ace Frehley, known worldwide as the Spaceman, had built a reputation as a fearless rock icon who seemed impossible to slow down. Yet in the end, a simple accident changed everything. Messages of grief and remembrance flooded social media. Fellow musicians paid tribute. Fans shared memories from across generations. Then came statements from Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, the two men who helped build a legendary band alongside him, and later spent years publicly clashing with him. They praised him as an irreplaceable rock soldier. They highlighted his creativity, his influence, and the unique guitar style that helped shape a generation of hard rock. On the surface, the comments sounded respectful and heartfelt, but longtime followers of the band's history knew there was another side to the story. The relationship between Ace Frehley and KISS had been complicated for decades, filled with disagreements, public criticism, and unresolved tension. This wasn't the story of lifelong brotherhood. It was the story of a partnership that achieved incredible success before breaking apart in dramatic fashion. Even after years passed, the arguments, accusations, and hurt feelings never seemed completely settled. The spotlight may have changed, but the conflict often remained. To understand how it all started, you have to go back to New York City in 1973. Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley were trying to move beyond a struggling group called Wicked Lester. They wanted a fresh start and needed a lead guitarist who could command attention. So they placed an ad in the Village Voice. Lead guitarist wanted with flash and balls. Then a young guitarist from the Bronx walked into the audition wearing two different colored sneakers, one red and one orange. The look immediately caught people's attention. He barely talked. He plugged into his amplifier, picked up his guitar, and let the music do the talking. That guitarist was Paul Daniel Frehley. Whatever doubts they may have had about his unusual appearance disappeared the moment he started playing. The talent was undeniable, and he'd landed the job that would change rock history forever. Before becoming KISS's legendary Spaceman, Ace Frehley was already known as Ace, a nickname he earned as a teenager. When the band created its larger-than-life characters, he became Space Ace and even helped shape the group's image by sketching the famous lightning bolt KISS logo, one of rock's most recognizable symbols. Ace was never just the lead guitarist. He was a key part of the band's foundation as Kiss grew into a global phenomenon with its makeup, explosive stage shows, and unforgettable performances. At the center of it all was Ace's guitar style, raw, unpredictable, and full of personality. His playing stood out because of its attitude, not just technical skill. Songs like Cold Gin and Shock Me became fan favorites and showed exactly what made Ace special. His sound was instantly recognizable and impossible to copy. He also brought a unique balance to the band. While Gene Simmons played the larger-than-life demon and Paul Stanley commanded the stage, Ace had a relaxed, effortless cool. He often let his guitar do the talking, and that style became a huge part of Kiss's appeal. But behind the scenes, the picture was much less glamorous. The same mix of personalities that created magic on stage often led to serious disagreements away from the spotlight. Ace and original drummer Peter Criss embraced the hard-partying rock lifestyle and came from working-class New York backgrounds. That energy connected with fans, but it also created friction within the group. Meanwhile, Gene Simmons was known for staying focused on business, and Paul Stanley remained intensely committed to pushing the band forward at all costs. As the years passed, tensions reportedly continued to grow. Ace felt that some of his musical contributions weren't getting the same attention as songs written by Gene and Paul. He also became increasingly frustrated with the makeup, the characters, and the growing sense that the band had become a giant machine. The excitement that once felt fresh was starting to feel restrictive. The breaking point arrived during the creation of the 1981 album, Music from the Elder. The project took the band in a dramatically different direction. It was an ambitious orchestral concept album centered around a young hero being trained by a mysterious order to battle evil. For some fans, it was bold and experimental. For Ace, reports suggest it represented a major departure from the straightforward rock sound that helped build the band's success. Stories from that period have become part of rock lore. According to long-circulating accounts, Ace strongly disagreed with the album's direction and had little enthusiasm for the project. Some reports even claim that portions of his guitar work were recorded separately at his home studio in Connecticut before being sent back to the band. Whether every detail is accurate or not, one thing was becoming clear. The cracks inside Kiss were growing wider, and the tension was getting harder to hide. By 1982, the tension inside the band had reportedly reached a breaking point. The disagreements, frustrations, and growing distance between Ace Frehley and the rest of the group had become impossible to ignore. Eventually, he left Kiss for the first time, marking what many saw as his attempt to finally break away from the band that had made him famous. Ace quickly focused on building his own path. He launched Frehley's Comet, a project that stayed true to the hard rock sound fans associated with him. Packed with heavy guitar riffs and his signature style, the band allowed him to step out from behind the Kiss brand and prove he could succeed on his own terms. For many supporters, it felt like Ace was finally taking full control of his career. Ironically, the evidence that he could stand on his own had already appeared years earlier. Back in 1978, when Kiss was at the absolute height of its popularity, the band attempted one of the most unusual marketing moves in rock history. All four members released separate solo albums on the exact same day.
We're finishing up where we started.
It was a massive gamble and a strategy that few artists have ever attempted before or since. While the albums from Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, and Peter Criss received attention, it was Ace's record that generated the biggest commercial impact. His album connected strongly with fans, and his version of New York Groove became a major hit, reaching the top 20 and standing out as the biggest success from the four releases. The song became closely linked to Ace's identity and was viewed by many fans as a statement that he could thrive outside the group. For a time, that seemed exactly what was happening. Ace continued making music, building his own fan base, and embracing life as an independent artist. Over the years, he often pointed to the success of New York Groove as proof that he had achieved something unique among the original members. In his view, it showed he didn't need Kiss to remain relevant, and he wasn't shy about saying so in interviews. Leaving Kiss did not mean escaping its shadow. In 1996, the original four members reunited after a hugely successful MTV Unplugged appearance. The makeup returned, the classic personas were back, and fans went crazy. The Alive worldwide tour became one of the biggest tours of the era, making it seem like the band had stepped straight back into its glory days. Behind the scenes, though, old problems reportedly never went away. Long-standing tensions, personal differences, and familiar frustrations continued to cause issues. While the reunion brought in massive success, it could not erase years of conflict. By 2002, Ace had left again, and this time the split would last. Afterward, the disagreements became increasingly public. Interviews and media appearances often featured criticism from both sides. Ace strongly challenged claims about his career and role in the band's legacy. Another major talking point involved Tommy Thayer taking over the spaceman role. While some fans accepted the change, others felt the original spaceman could never truly be replaced. Ace never hid his opinion on the debate, keeping the controversy alive for years. After getting sober, Ace Frehley became even more outspoken about his disagreements with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. He openly challenged many of their decisions and argued that the band had become too focused on business and nostalgia rather than the spirit that helped make it famous in the first place. In interviews, he frequently suggested that the original legacy of Kiss was being treated more like a brand than a creative force. From his perspective, he had helped build that legacy and deserved greater recognition for his contributions. The public back and forth quickly became one of rock music's longest-running feuds. Accusations, responses, counterclaims, and interviews kept the story alive year after year. Every new comment seemed to spark another headline. What began as creative and personal disagreements eventually grew into a conflict that stretched across decades, keeping fans and music journalists talking non-stop. For many followers of the band, it started to feel like choosing sides. Some supported Ace, viewing him as the rebellious and influential guitarist whose style helped shape the classic Kiss sound. Others stood behind Gene and Paul, believing their leadership was responsible for keeping the band active and successful for so many years. The debate became a constant topic among fans, and opinions often ran strong on both sides. As Kiss wrapped up its end-of-the-road farewell tour, fans were buzzing about one big question. Would Ace Frehley and Peter Criss join the final Madison Square Garden shows? The idea of the original lineup sharing the stage one last time had people excited, and many felt it would have been the perfect full-circle moment for the band. Reports later claimed Ace was invited in some way, but he chose not to take part. The reasons remain disputed. Some pointed to money issues, while others suggested concerns about how he would be featured. Whatever the case, Ace appeared unwilling to join a reunion that, in his view, did not address years of unresolved problems. To many fans, that choice felt like a powerful final message. After decades of clashes and public disagreements, Ace seemed unwilling to take part in a feel-good moment just for appearances. Then came the shocking news of his passing. Ace had remained active, working on new music and planning future projects, which made the loss even harder for many followers of his career. His death also ended any possibility of a future reconciliation. When Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley later called Ace irreplaceable, reactions were mixed. Some fans saw the tributes as heartfelt, while others revisited years of tension and old disputes. One thing was clear. The story between Ace Frehley and Kiss was far too complicated to be summed up in a few statements. The tragedy of Ace Frehley's death isn't only about losing a legendary guitarist. It's also about an extraordinary partnership that achieved incredible success before becoming deeply fractured. It's the story of a musician who helped create one of rock's biggest acts, spent years trying to define himself beyond it, and yet remained connected to that legacy no matter how far he traveled from it. Even after all the arguments, controversies, and unfinished business, the spaceman's story remained tied to the band that helped launch him into music history. Ace Frehley started out as a kid from the Bronx with a dream of becoming a rock star. And against all odds, he became one of the biggest names in rock music. But that success came with challenges, and for much of his life he seemed determined to protect the identity and legacy he believed he had helped create. His passing didn't bring a final resolution to the decades of tension surrounding his story. It made the debate even more intense and left fans with questions that may never have clear answers. What do you think? Was Ace Frehley treated fairly by Kiss after leaving the band, or do you believe both sides share responsibility for how things unfolded? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future stories and deep dives into music history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.